Hello, 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 hello. Come on in the room. We're gonna jazz it out just a little bit today. Y'all know how we do. No, we do not own the music and the lyrics in the background, but unfortunately there's no lyrics today, so we do not own the music, but we sure thankful for it. Hello and welcome to another edition of HR 101. I am your host, Ada Brooks of Ada Brooks Consulting. I am excited to be here on today. Come on in the room. We're going to like, comment, tag, and share. Please. And of course, make sure you send in your questions to hr101.hb@gmail.com. I am excited about today, you guys. I am so excited. Okay. So we're going to mute that a little bit and we're going to go ahead and get started. I am just excited about what is going on. There's some great things taking place. We're going to do a recap from last week because as you all know, if you tuned in on last week, we had some do's and don'ts on interviewing. So just a recap on some of the do's. We want to make sure that when you go to pick up your application, please be dressed appropriately. Okay, that means business casual. If you don't have to be dressy, but business casual, ladies, slacks. I know it's warm, so if you can do a nice sundress, you don't want it to be too tatted up and out, so you may want to cover those just a little bit. A nice cute maxi dress, that would suffice. Men, some khakis and a short sleeve shirt would suffice. Make sure that button they're pulled up and you have on a nice belt. So the don'ts. If you gotta take your phone in, do not answer the phone in the middle of the person asking you questions. Simply because you are picking up an application and they may have questions for you, so you do not want to take a phone call in the middle of the conversation. Also, you want to make sure you're dressed appropriately as discussed. Also, be prepared to answer questions because they may ask you some questions concerning your background. You know, why did you leave the last job? Did you give a 2-week notice or did you just quit? Can you be able to explain your gaps in your job history? Because they're going to ask you that. They may also ask you, what would your last employer say about you? You know, have your references. And what we mean by references, you want to list the HR department. You also want to make sure that you answer your don't give them your supervisor's number, just give them the HR general number. Also, please make sure that you don't smell like your extracurricular activities. That's the best way I can put that. Do not smell like your extracurricular activities. You want to be fresh. You do not want to put yourself out there like that. Because then what that is going to do is going to cause them to say, oh, you look good on paper, but you smell. So don't give them that. So be mindful when going in and picking up your application, what you're portraying, because they're looking for someone who's going to be a good fit, who's going to represent the company well. And if they feel like they are smelling you prior to, that's not a good representation. So be mindful of that. Again, you want to make sure you are fresh. So I hope that kind of led up to some of the do's and don'ts of your interviewing, and just be prepared. Be prepared. Have your resume, cover letter even. You know, just in case they may ask, but we will definitely ask for a resume. So you always want to make sure that is on hand. You want to make sure that your contact information is accurate as well. You don't want an old phone number, because when they go to call you, and it's like, I can't reach this person because guess what? Your information is not accurate. Your number has changed.
I have a question.
We have a question.
We do have a question. I've never personally done a cover letter for a resume. What would I put on a cover letter? Because usually on a resume, everything's at the top, like your name, email, contact information. So I don't know what the point in a cover letter is.
Well, not all jobs ask for a cover letter. So depending on the job that you're going for, you gotta do a summary. You're gonna summarize. You're gonna introduce yourself and list your qualifications and why you think you would be a good fit for the company. Just a nice paragraph, and that's it. You don't have to make it a whole long one page. I don't have time to read a long page. So just a nice
like an
paragraph, an intro to who you are.
Okay.
You're letting them know you're interested in the position. You have a little bit of personality, and this is why I'm interested in the position. So you want to make it short and sweet, just enough to capture our attention and say, you know what, I think I want to call this person. And guess what? We'll call you. So that is what you want your cover letter to say. Your cover letter is to kind of summarize what your resume is, or to introduce your resume. If that makes sense. Okay. So I'm excited. Also, please be mindful after you get your interviews, because they make you a job offer, be prepared for your drug test to come next. Okay, that's going to be the next thing. And if you know you need to do some things before you take that drug test, you may want to prepare for that. You definitely want to prepare for that. So if you're currently looking for a position, go ahead and start making preparations for your drug test. So you won't take a drug test and fail a drug test, because then that company is going to make you wait a whole year before they will allow you to apply or hire you. Yes, ma'am.
So what will be the cutoff time if someone is running late to decide not to interview them overall, versus saying, okay, they were such and such minutes late, we can go ahead with the interview process?
Well, it's up to that interviewing manager. I myself, I don't really like to give a grace period. However, if I tell you your interview is at 10 o'clock in the morning, guess what? Traffic has already died down. There's no reason for you to be late at 10 o'clock in the morning. So for me, there really is not a grace period, because you had 10 o'clock in the morning, not 8 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But some people may say 5 minutes. Some may say 7. It just really depends, because if you can't make if you can't make it to your interview on time, how you gonna make it to work on time?
Right.
And what I've been finding myself doing is allowing the person to schedule their own interview time.
So if they are running late, this is on you.
Cause
'Cause
you
you set
said
the
you
time.
was gonna be here at this time. I didn't set that time for you. I asked, and you said, okay. So I allow them to schedule their own interview. So if you're late, it's not on me. It'll be on you. And oftentimes we will not reschedule.
Right.
Sometimes it's just really up to that particular hiring manager if they want to reschedule, because it will be a waste of time. I thought of you enough to go ahead and schedule the interview, or allow you to schedule the interview, and then you still show up late. To me, when you show up late, you do not respect yourself as well as the company enough, because oftentimes we know you're gonna probably get caught up in traffic. Got that. But that's why you're supposed to map out your time first. You're supposed to take 24 hours to map out your route, because you don't know if there's gonna be a detour. You don't want to leave the house too late because you don't know if you need to stop and get gas. You don't know if you're going to wake up with a flat tire. You want to make time for all of those things just in case. So therefore, if you make the necessary preparations, there's no reason for you to be late. Okay. So I hope that was able to answer your
Understood.
question.
And there's a lot of young men going out now doing applications. But can you do a little touch up on that?
Now, when you say young men going out,
Making sure, we talked about the ladies, making sure they're dressed properly. So the men, the young guys that's going,
so as far as the men, earlier I stated make sure that your pants are pulled up and there's no sagging. Because I don't want, if you come to your interview with your pants sagging, that's telling me when you put on your uniform, that's what you want to do. You want to sag, and that's not a good representation of the company, because now you represent the company, so therefore they want to know that you're going to come in presentable. So that means pulling your pants up, having a nice button-down shirt. I know it's hot, so you may want to have a polo, something that's comfortable. I'm not saying you got to have it buttoned all the way up to your neck and you got to have on shirt and tie, but presentable enough to say, I'm a good representation for this company. If you have dreads, and there's nothing wrong with dreads, you may want to pull them back and put them in a ball. So again, you look presentable. If you know that you have an interview coming up and you have your dreads and they need to be retwisted, then try to find a time to get them retwisted. Okay? You want to make sure you groom properly. You want to make sure you're shaved. If you are shaving, you want to make sure that your beard looks good. I know the beard thing is in. Again, depending on the company, they may ask you to shave, depending on the company and the look. If you know you're not willing to shave, do not apply for that position. Do not apply at that company, because you've already said that's not what I want to do. And it's okay if you don't want to do that. Just be mindful, if you apply with a company and they say this is our grooming policy, and they ask you, are you willing to shave? And you say yes, and when it come time to do that, then it's like, I don't want to. Well, why do I have to? Because that's what you said. So unless there's some medical reason as to why you can't, but then you have to be able to prove that as well. Unless there's a religious reason behind that, then you have to be able to prove that as well. So just keep in mind of those certain things when it comes to men being fresh. Don't come in smelling like your extracurricular activities. Make sure your pants are pulled up, your button-down shirt or polo even, clean shave. You don't have to necessarily, don't have on so much cologne that I smell your cologne before you get there. That's way too much, because an individual may be allergic. You just never know. So a little goes a long way. So kind of keep that in mind. Also, please keep your gum at home. Don't chew your gum. I know people get nervous. They tend to, while they're waiting on their interview, they start chewing gum. Well, guess what? You forget that you got your gum in your mouth, and when the interview starts, you chewing and talking. Cause I've done it a time or two. Can I have that? Can you spit that out? It's just hard to concentrate on the individual trying to talk and you got a mouthful of gum. It's just do the mint and do the mint before the interview, before you walk back there. Do the mint. Also, when it comes to your phone, be mindful of your ringtones. Don't have your phone on ring. Make sure it's on vibrate, because Oh my God, I've heard some songs. So, just put it on vibrate. Once you get inside the interview, you may want to turn it off or do not disturb until after your interview. Because you want them to know that you're important. You're important enough, I respect your time, and you're important enough that I'm going to pay attention in this interview and not be concentrating on my phone ringing and here come the ringtone, oh my God, I'm sorry. You know, so those are just some of the tips you want to be mindful of while you're doing your interview. So, any other questions? Very good questions. I know there's more. We've all gone on countless interviews.
Speaking of telephones, you see a lot of people on their phones nowadays. So is it frowned upon if you're in the waiting room and you're on your phone? Is it best to just even, leave your phone often in your purse or like in your pocket? Is it frowned upon basically to sit there on your phone the whole time that you're waiting for your interview to start?
I would say it's not frowned upon, but if you're gonna have your phone while you're sitting there, do your research on that company if you have not done it already.
Mm-hmm.
Take advantage of that time, because don't slide into your interview at the last minute. Go ahead and show up at least 15-20 minutes early and go ahead and do your research. That way you take time to breathe, try to get your nerves under control, go wash your hands, use the bathroom, what have you, then come, and if you're gonna be on your phone, kind of do a little silent prayer to yourself and research that company. And then be mindful, say 5 minutes before it's time, put your phone up and take some deep breath and be like, okay, I'm ready for this. So that's what I would do if I had my phone and having to do a research, waiting on my interview. That's what I would do, is make sure I'm making use of that time. So, any other questions? That was very good questions. One thing I noticed is that when individuals come for their interviews, again, you want to be early. Don't come in there 5 minutes before your interview because you don't have time to really get yourself together. It takes away, you don't have time to get your nerves together. So that's why we say 15-20 minutes early, because it allows you to relax. Don't just jump out of the car. Take time to yourself, whatever it is that you have to do. You want to make sure you have enough copies of your resume, because the person that you're interviewing with, he or she may lose your resume or forget it and leave it in the office. So if you have 2 or 3 copies, guess what? I'm prepared. Here you go. That's a good first impression. You're on time. You have extra copies of your resume. You have a pen. Have your questions prepared, because we're going to ask you, do you have any questions? And most people be like, no. Have at least 3. That's all. At least 3. And I would say, what is the expectation of the person coming into this position within the first 90 days? Question number 1. Question 2, how long has the position been available? Question number 3, what is the atmosphere or the environment like amongst the team or the culture of the company? Just in case they don't say that. Those 3 questions. Do not ask about pay. Do not, because to us it just tells us, oh, you just want a job because you want to get paid. You just need some money. And then once you get your first 2 checks or maybe your third one, you out. So you want to be mindful of that. Do not ask about pay. Okay? You want to ask them, if they don't tell you about the attire, you want to ask about the attire. If they don't tell you about the hours, you want to ask about the hours. That's important as well.
Training.
training. They may or may not tell you about the training, but you want to ask about the training because some people may need more time to train than others. Also, please be mindful when they ask you in an interview to tell me a little bit about yourself. Don't tell me your name and don't tell me how old you are. I need you to do a recap of your resume. Okay? Your education, your experience. The 2 E's, and there's a third one. And why did I just go blank? But I did. I'm here when we go through this too. But you have your education, you have your experience. You always want to close it out with a family-oriented person. You know, that way you're not giving too much information about yourself. But you want to do a recap of your resume. Okay, your area of expertise. There it is. Expertise, experience, and education. And close it out when I'm a family-oriented person. Do not tell me your name. I already know that. Do not tell me how old you are because you're allowing us to set up in our minds if you're too young, can you handle responsibilities, or are you going to be a person that's going to be a party person and come in late, or are you too old? Do not give us your age. Do not put on your resume that I graduated high school in 1976. No ma'am, no sir. All I need on there is your college education. If you have a master's or an undergrad, not the year you graduated, because guess what? You just told me how old you are. Give or take. Yes, ma'am.
So what if you've been at a job for maybe 3 or 4 years, and your previous work experience is a longer tenure than that, but at this current job you've been in 3 different positions. Well, you've been in a position each year you've been there. So when you go on your resume and it put your employment history, would you not list all 3 of those positions that you have at that current job since they fall within that time frame? Or would you still kind of incorporate the old job before that goes back maybe 4 or 5 years?
If you are a seasoned employee, a seasoned person, you want at least 10 years. Only go back 10 years. If you've been at your job 5 years and you was promoted within 3 times within those 5 years, you're gonna list them because that shows that you was able to take the initiative, they saw it, they promoted you. That's called in-house advancement, in-house promotion. So you wanna go ahead and you wanna list those. Because if I'm doing your resume, I'm gonna be like, okay, you was here 5 years, what else did you, if this is all you did in 5 years? You was like, but I was promoted 3 times. But you didn't tell me that, so I can't see that. So allow us to see the growth if you made growth at that particular time. So yes, you want to list those 3 positions, even though you was with that company for 5 years, you still want to list it.
But I don't necessarily have to list the job before that, because I have a 5-year stretch in 3 different positions within this one company.
It's okay, but I like to see at least 10.
Okay.
Because it shows stability.
Okay.
You want to make sure you have some stability. Because anytime you have some gaps in your resume, you're going to have to be able to explain those gaps. And some people don't make that transition too well. So you want to be able to explain your job gaps, especially if it was a long period of time. Okay? And if you left a job, again, you don't want to say, oh, I just left. Just left. So you didn't give no type of notice? They don't require any. Every job requires a notice. Even if you give the notice and they go ahead and let you go, guess what? You still gave a notice. It was just up to that company to go ahead and let you go at that time. Not that you didn't give the notice. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So any other questions? This has been great. I don't see any questions on Facebook. That's okay. Not right now. It's been really, really well. So at this time, we're going to go ahead. As you guys know, we promote and we get excited when it comes to a Blessed Chick t-shirt. We do have these on hand. And each time that someone purchases a Blessed Chick t-shirt. All proceeds go toward HR 101 to allow our young people to come to a class for free. So you can purchase your shirt for only $20. And guess what? We did not leave out anybody. So we have a Blessed Chick, as you can see, for the ladies. And it's many verses of a Blessed Chick. We have, and I want to thank the men so much for showing up and showing out, because we got some blessed men in our community. Guess what? We have some blessed men shirt too. And I have to give a quick shout out to my A-Town family. We even have the little guys. A blessed little man. So guess what? If you got some grands or you have a little boy that is very, very special to you, you can get them a shirt too for only $10. $10. A blessed little man. And of course, a blessed little chick for our little girls. That's right. We even got them for the little girls. Again, only $10. So nobody is left out. The entire family is covered. I did get a special request. Believe it or not, I got a special request for a onesie. And we are going to do a onesie for that little baby. And we are excited. So you guys, I cannot thank you enough for the support, for seeing the vision, for seeing the need, that this training is something that our young people need. It does my heart well, and I'm gonna try not to get so teary-eyed about this, because this has been a vision and a passion of mine for almost 30 years. And to see it come to fruition during a time such as this, during this pandemic, I never would have thought that God would have opened up a door like He has, to where I can get this information out to you all. So as quickly as we get a class together, we will be practicing the social distancing. I know everybody's concerned about that. But you guys, the class is on its way. We'll probably do about 10 students just to make sure we stay within the social distancing guidelines. But I am ever so thankful, and for the support of my family. And you know, last week I sent them a text to kind of let them know, because when one go up, we all go up, because we support each other regardless of the positions that we all play. We are that united front when it comes to HR 101 and Ada Brooks Consultant. I have some people that pushes me to my limits with this, and I am excited. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't say, on behalf of my own pastor and first lady and my ACIDI church who supports me in doing this, you can also get this training through ACIDI. So if you want additional information, you can call the church at 501-661-4618, or my pastors, Dr. Ellie Braggs and President Dolores J. Braggs, and my co-pastor is the one and only Lakeisha Braggs. So I am excited about them and their support as well. So at this time, that's all I have. I'm wrapping this up. I am excited. I thank you all for joining us on tonight for this edition of Ada Brooks Consultant HR 101. Until next week, I'll see you all. Have a good evening.
Contact information.